Hello and welcome to Shin Before Sin. I'm Eden.
I'm Miriam.
And I'm Jacob.
For the first edition of our podcast, we want to debunk some Jewish stereotypes. Wahoo! Okay, so here's how this segment is going to work. With the help of a few credible sources, we will decide if these stereotypes are fact or fiction.
Okay, let's start with Jewish moms. In just about any culture, the mothers are heavily stereotyped, and Judaism is no exception. A simple scroll through BuzzFeed's 35 Signs You Were Raised by a Jewish Mother provides us with just about every stereotype imaginable. They won't let you leave the house without a jacket, no matter how warm it is outside. They always make sure you're well fed. They're overly critical, and all they want is for you to meet a nice Jewish boy and raise your children Jewish too. Generally, these stereotypes imply that Jewish mothers are overly concerned with our well-being, are too involved in our lives, or just want what's best for us. But are these good things? To dive in a little deeper, I read an article on My Jewish Learning about the negative portrayal of Jewish mothers in television shows and movies. In movies like Guilt Trip and shows like The Princesses of Long Island and The Big Bang Theory, these stereotypes are exploited for comedic benefits. Instead of being intrusive yet loving, these mothers are harsh and nagging. For example, in The Big Bang Theory, a main character, Howard, who is Jewish, repeatedly exchanges heated words with his mother, who never actually appears on screen. She has a New York accent, she screams, she's controlling, and she's completely out of touch with her son. The author says that what's clearest about the Jewish mother is that she's way over-determined and not someone most of us set out to emulate. So what are Jewish mothers really like? Are they rude, or do they just have the best intentions? To answer these questions, I look to none other than my own Jewish mother, Martha. She can be admittedly judgmental, but she's aware of it, and she insists she doesn't have bad intentions. She wants what's best for me, but she doesn't go out of her way to make me do stuff that I don't want to do. And while she would love for me to marry a Jew and raise my kids Jewish, it wouldn't kill her if I didn't. So is the stereotype true? Are Jewish mothers all they're cracked up to be? Well, no, not really. In real life, Jewish mothers are caring individuals who believe that their children have great potential. And honestly, that's pretty neat.
So that's interesting because when I read this, I kind of agree that my mom is super overbearing and definitely has my best interest at heart, but she's not nagging and she's not controlling in a malicious way. She just kind of wants the best for me.
I agree with that. My mom always has my best intentions, although there are times when it's 55 degrees outside and she makes me wear a jacket. She's just looking out for me.
So can we say this is a debunked Jewish stereotype?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Big noses are our second topic, and this one might be a little bit easier to prove. According to MyJewishLearning.com, the nonprofit organization that links Jews from all across the world, Jews are not significantly different from the populations in which they have lived in recent centuries. This leads us to believe that the Jewish schnoz, or nose in Yiddish, is truly an anti-Semitic myth. But there is clearly some evidence that leads to the idea that most Jews have a big honker. So we decided to look for more evidence. And what we found is definitely what we were looking for. In an article released by Science Today, your nose shape is purely to do with your ancestors' place of origin. Recent findings and studies point to the idea that climate and environment attribute to the size and shape of your nose. Since Jewish ancestors are earliest found in the Middle East, it makes sense that they would have big noses, since most noses in the Middle East adapted over time to the moderate climate and grew in size. So when it comes to this myth, we can officially say that this is debunked, because not all Jews have big noses, only the ones that come from the Middle East.
I've definitely noticed more big noses in the Jewish community. For example, my own dad has a relatively large schnoz. And also at synagogue, sometimes I see people with hook noses, which is also a common stereotype. But definitely big noses are not super common in the Jewish community, at least not that I've seen. And for me and a lot of my Jewish friends, we just have normal sized noses.
I think that if one of my friends were to see a big nose on one of my other Jewish friends, they would automatically go to the stereotype of Jewish people having big noses. If that person wasn't Jewish, then they just would leave it alone. For example, I was in PE class the other day, and one of my friends was looking at another one of my friend's noses who is Jewish, and then he said, "It looks like all Jewish people have the same shaped nose." I mean, that's one I've never heard before.
Very true. I think that a lot of Jews have big noses by chance, but as I said, it's super about ancestry and where your Jewish ancestors come from.
The final topic that we plan on covering is the overused stereotype that Jews and people of Jewish descent aren't athletic and are horrible at sports. On the website jewishvirtuallibrary.org, we see that in the 1936 Olympics, even though it was held in Nazi Germany, that 32 of the medals given out, 13 of them were won by Jewish athletes. This proves that even an event that was boycotted by many Jewish people and blocked many other Jews from competition, the Jewish people still won 43% of the medals given out. Another piece of evidence against the idea that Jews aren't athletic is the whole concept of the Maccabi Games. The Maccabi Games is an Olympic-style competition which is held in Israel annually for Jewish people. The games were started in 1932 and have gone on the gain for international acclaim, as it is the third largest international sporting event in the world. The Jewish people have always been major players in sports. For example, boxers like Sam Elias, who played 100 matches, only lost one in his career. Also, the football player Lyle Alzado, who played 16 years on the Denver Broncos, Cleveland Browns, and the Oakland Raiders. Both were proud members of the International Jewish Sports Hall of Fame. Although, just like with every other group of people, there are those who are outliers. The stereotype that Jews aren't athletic can be called debunked.
That's really interesting. I definitely think it's super, super fiction-y. My brother went to the Junior Olympics for running. I mean, my dad went to college for his sport. I do my sport in my school.
Yeah, the stereotype that Jews are non-athletic has always been kind of bizarre to me because I'm athletic, I have friends who are athletic, and I don't view athleticness as something specific to a certain group. It's just strange that this has been assigned to Jews particularly.
Yeah, me personally, I consider myself a very athletic person. I play basketball and I am on the JV lacrosse team at my local high school, and I enjoy athletics very much.
Jews are pretty athletic people, at least the Jews that I know.
Yeah, I agree.
So, we just want to say thank you so much for listening to Shin Before Sin. We hope everyone enjoyed and come back next week. Bye!